Alrighty, welcome everyone to another episode of the Planet Soccer Podcast. I'm your co-host Dylan up here in Michigan with my fellow co-host Reed, and for the first time on the Planet Soccer Podcast, we have a special guest appearance. We have, I may have your title wrong now, Nick, so I apologize if I have your title wrong, but a professor of sport management at the University of South Carolina, Nick Watanabe, one of my old professors from the University of Missouri, probably one of the greatest business and business minds of soccer that I've had the privilege of meeting thus far. So really excited to have him on, hopefully and likely going to be a repeat guest. So welcome to the pod, Nick.
Thank you. I don't know if I'm one of the greatest business minds in soccer, or maybe I need to introduce you to more
that I've met.
More of the British faculty members that I know.
Dylan's extensive connections in soccer.
Right.
But no, it's a pleasure. Thank you. Yeah. You got the title pretty much spot on. Associate professor, same thing. Department of Sport and Entertainment Management at South Carolina. Also, I write a wacky new storytelling sort of blog on Substack called The Stand. So basically just trying to do a bunch of stuff revolving around soccer, especially as we build up to the World Cup this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I know both Reed and myself have subscribed to that, and it's been really cool, kind of an insider take, some of your experiences while you were over there this late summer, early fall, whatever time frame we're in right now. Just kind of unique to have some firsthand experience because, neither Reed nor I have experienced it firsthand in England. So I know we've really enjoyed that. So definitely recommend people giving that a subscribe on Substack. It's been a really cool read and something I'm looking forward to kind of continue reading more on. Another kind of unique experience that you've had. I know you were in Qatar, and that's kind of going to be the focal point of our podcast today is the kits. I believe now all of the teams that will be at the 2022 World Cup in Qatar have had their kits released. I know you had some experience over there in Qatar, so you kind of bringing not only your professor of sport management and diehard soccer fan perspective, but you had some firsthand experience in Qatar right around the draw of the World Cup. So tell us a little bit about what that was like.
So I've been to Qatar twice now, so for about a total of about 9 or 10 weeks in total. I go over there to teach a sport business class. Obviously, we do focus a lot about soccer and basically the running of the World Cup. The first time I was there was actually for Confederations Cup. Was the perfect timing, so I got the first couple matches of Confederations Cup before I left. Those went pretty well in terms of test matches, except for the Education City Stadium hadn't been finished, so they had to move the Liverpool match out of it into another stadium just because of delays. And those delays at that point are always natural. This most recent time was, just this past winter. I was there. Winter is actually spring, so it's only been a couple months. The stadiums are looking good. I actually got to go out into Education City Stadium, which was really nice because I got to walk out, not onto the field, but, right next to it like you do on a stadium tour. Mm-hmm. And I was first out, and it just happened to be the day they were testing all the FIFA anthems that they use at the World Cup. So I was walking out onto the World Cup stadium with the World Cup anthem playing. I was just like, okay, this is a little bit of a feeling that like no one else has. It was actually the morning after they had a doubleheader. Croatia and Qatar played. Or actually, Qatar played Slovakia or Slovenia, whichever one Oblak plays for. I'm mixing countries. And then the other game was Croatia-Hungary. So there was Croatia-Bulgaria. So there was a doubleheader, right? Modric was there, Kramaric, basically all the big names, Brozovic were there.
Perisic.
Yeah, Perisic. Everybody. Oh, here we go. Well, actually,
are you an Arsenal fan, Nick?
I think it's an understatement. I mean, I'm a Red member, so I have purchased membership because I spend that much at the Arsenal store every year. It actually pays itself.
So for those of you that took the over-under on how long this rivalry would take to get brought up. It was under 5 minutes into the episode, so
I
hope somebody was hammering the under.
You're pretty neutral, I would say, on Twitter as far as like overly tweeting about them. But I could kind of get a sense you lean that way a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, and I think this is part of my background in terms of being a professor in sport. But as much as I love a team, I also do see the bigger reality. And I mean, I'll just be 100% honest, and all the Arsenal fans are going to pile on and demand my red membership be revoked. But I mean, honestly, over the past couple of years, it's been the case that Tottenham's done better, right? In terms of management, in terms of finances, in terms of putting a team together, in terms of stadium building. I mean, I did go to a match, unfortunately, at.
I saw your stadium rankings. We're going to speak about that at some point.
Oh, that was the ranking of people playing London Calling, which is really
okay.
It's actually an essay I'm working on, because it's very interesting about how London Calling has decided to become the pre-match anthem for all the teams in London. And I asked my friend, because I was like, I don't remember this from 5 years ago. He was like, no, this is something new. All of a sudden, everyone's got to play London Calling. But some teams just don't pick up to it, whereas Fulham, they're basically screaming by the river. And I was like, you guys don't even know the opening lyrics. You're just clapping. I'm just is this, especially, Fulham has this image of being this posh, people bringing their Gucci bags to matches.
Oh, really?
Flawful, right? This kind of, not the football ethos, as you would say. And then all of a sudden, they're screaming along with a punk masterpiece, and it's sort of you really match who you are. So I think that actually makes a really interesting essay. I've sort of been outlining it, but I haven't really got the tone right, so I'm still working on that one. But that's in terms of stadium rankings, I mean, let's be honest, the new Tottenham Stadium is impressive. It is essentially an NFL stadium, brand new state-of-the-art NFL stadium that a Premier League team plays in. There are a couple unfortunate parts to it. If you don't buy a seat in the right spot, you actually get stuck behind a jumbotron that blocks part of the field. But they actually have televisions on the back of the jumbotron for you to see the rest of the field.
Oh, wow.
That's how big it is. I think, but overall, we were sitting almost at the very top, and it was still a great view. Other than the fact that Everton fell apart and choked at 5-0. It was terrible. I think I sent the first text about him ready to go home. I think the 30th minute it was 3-0. Time to go home. I literally told him, you can I wrote an essay on this, the 90 minutes of agony. I literally was in the 60th minute, it was 4 or 5-0, and I literally texted him I'm leaving. You guys can stay here, but I'm going home, because I'm not watching any more of this. So
yeah, did you kind of become a soccer fan around the time Arsenal was at their peak? Is that kind of how you got into them, would you say?
Actually, the story's sort of funny, but I think I would actually have become an Arsenal fan when they were sort of the second best. So A lot of me following Arsenal happened when I moved to Japan in the early 90s. My dad's a Japanese, and he got a job at a university there, so we moved there. And everybody around me was a Manchester United fan, and granted, some of them are actually from Manchester, so I was like, okay, that's fair, right? But I was like, yeah I think I'm going to support Arsenal. And I liked their kits, and I liked Dennis Bergkamp. And then Arsene Wenger went from the J League to Arsenal, and so that sort of sealed it, right? It was oh, okay, yeah, we're really all in.
Yeah. Rest is history.
It wasn't them becoming invincibles. It was before that. So I was lucky, right? I got many great years, and then the years after. So
yeah, you've been through it all.
Many great years, and then not so many great, and now who knows?
Well,
but one of the things you kind of mentioned there was the importance of when you picked up Arsenal was you liked the kit, and that's kind of actually,
what a segue, Dylan!
A pretty good
job.
segue into exactly what the big news of the day in the soccer world is. We finally, I think for the most part, we've known what the Nike kits were going to look like. So many of them had been leaked. We've seen the U.S. ones for better or for worse, or for worse.
It's for worse.
Or for worse for months now, but it did become official today. So kind of want to jump right into that and really dive into kind of what we think. I know initial reactions have been the Nike kits in general are, let's say, poor, to be nice. So I think that's kind of a good spot to start. What we're going to do is we're going to kind of rank our bottom five. Each of us will kind of share our bottom five, and we'll kind of share our thoughts on the really poor kits, and then we'll wrap up on a high note. And because there are some absolutely phenomenal kits. I haven't seen everybody's on here, so I am interested if I'm in the minority thinking some of these are awesome and I have bad taste, or if it's a kind of a consensus bottom five, top five. But Reed, how about you lead us off here and give us your bottom five and any rationale or reason or thoughts you kind of have on them.
So I actually want to add a few pieces of criteria on each of these. I think with World Cup kits, there's a couple different things that go into it. It's obviously the design. Does it incorporate the culture of the country? And does it have the potential to become iconic? Like with some of these, like the Brazil home, I'm just going to spoil it now. It's always going to be in my top five. It's just an iconic kit. But I think at the end of each of our rankings, like whenever we say the team, those three categories, like the design, good, bad, ugly, I'd say scale 1 to 5. Does it incorporate the culture 1 to 5, and chance to become iconic 1 to 5? I think that would be a fun little twist to do.
Oh man, adding the chance to be iconic. Looking at my top five, I don't think there's going to be many of these teams hanging around come the end of the tournament. So
you had some question marks. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie to you.
I really liked my top five, but yeah, if we're including potential to be iconic, maybe one of my top five have a chance to even make it out of qualifying. So
yeah,
maybe
right.
The iconic part I won't have. I'm just going on pure vibes, just absolutely pure vibes. What looks the best?
That's that's an important criteria, so you can go with that. But I'll go ahead and start. My bottom, rock bottom. Or actually, I'll start with number 5. I have the Uruguay away. I think that's also on Nick's. Mm-hmm. It's just, it's like whoever. It looks like a 9-year-old created it. Honestly, number 4 is the South Korea home. It's compared to the away, which just has more personality. I guess that the home is pretty bad. And then the Senegal away at number 3, Senegal. I think, Nick, you put Senegal and Ghana in your bottom 5, and they're pretty similar in their design. But just really plain, really boring. Speaking of plain and boring, the U.S. home, basically the white T-shirt with the crest right here, and they apparently tried to do some sort of like football pad thing to incorporate the culture. It looks like an Oreos pack to me. Like you pull the sleeve back and you get the Oreos out of it. That's what my mind went to first, and then I think I actually saw a tweet about it, and I'm like,
I'm never not going to see that now. That's terrible.
You're welcome for that. Number 1 to me is kind of a lock, and it's Canada. I think it's Canada's home. Whichever one's the white. It's the U.S., but worse. It's like it's really, really trash. It's just the crest right here, and then the Nike right there. And that's my rock bottom.
Nick, correct me if I'm wrong on this. Like, I don't love it, but like that's always been Canada's thing, right? Like they've always
been Canada. Like they're always playing in the World Cup. Please.
So as long as I remember Canada soccer being semi-relevant, it's like they wear all red, they wear an all white crest, Nike swoosh, done. So like I don't dislike it's there. Like it's not exciting. I wouldn't put it in my top 5, but like I don't think it's bad. Like objectively, I think it's better than the US's white one by far, because the US one is a hodgepodge Oreo wrapper, whatever the hell you want to call it.
So I think I put more emphasis on the boldness and the intricate, like just the weirdness of these designs. Like I like that kind of stuff better. So the more plain it is, the more I can tell that there was a little bit less money budgeted towards this jersey, and I can tell that that's the case. I'm going to have it pretty low.
So I sort of agree with both of you. I mean, if you don't mind me jumping in right away.
Yeah.
My number 5 is the Canada away white kit. And I see the head shaking. So let me explain this why. So first off, this isn't a new World Cup kit. This is the same kit they've been playing in since 2021. And that's
I think Canada, they were the only ones to not get a new design, right? Did I see that right?
There's the question about, who was it, Tunisia, but other than that, which we just don't have information on that, other than that, it's literally Canada's not getting a new kit. They're getting this white kit, which is the same thing. Now, the reason I also put it in the bottom 5 is if you remember during World Cup qualifying, the snow game, right? Do you remember those black kits they wore?
Those, yes, yeah.
Those
are sweet.
That is what should have been their away kit, because those
that's
are
fair.
far
That's
and
fair.
away so much better.
Yeah, there's potential for a whole lot better than that's fair. I'll concede to that. Yeah,
So
because those black ones were nasty.
Like that, if they had that black one, it would have been in my top 5. I would have been like, those are awesome, especially with the red Canada maple leaf logo and everything. It was just amazing. But for some reason, they're like, hey, we're going to the World Cup for the first time. And geez, for your guys' lifetime, I think I was 6 years old the last time they went to the World Cup. 5 years old, which is quite a long time ago. And they're like, hey, let's not put out a new World Cup kit. Well, what is the business decision behind this? It's baffling to me. Do they think they're not?
Yeah, because you've not been there in so long. Like people are going to buy it. People bought it during qualifying because it was what they qualified in. If you're a Canadian soccer fan, I don't know how many there are, but then you're going to buy another one if it's the World Cup kit and it's half decent. I mean, us Americans probably aren't, but just put something out.
I was going to.
And I think people were going to buy it.
I was going to buy a U.S. kit.
Too.
And then
I knew who I was getting. I knew who I was getting and everything. And I like the camo one. We'll get into it later. The camo one's like okay. I don't hate it, but that white one is trash.
Yeah,
like this one, the one I'm wearing from the fort or this is from 12, I think. No, 10 rather. Sorry, 10. Was not a good kit. Like it's not good, but I got it because it wasn't awful. But like it's awful this year.
I was actually going to buy a black Jonathan David Canada kit.
Oh.
But apparently they're only offering this white mess, so I'm going to buy a Jonathan David black Lou kit instead, which will look much better. So, sorry, Canada, you lost my money. I'm sending it to legal. So, which apparently I don't pronounce very well because I was talking to a guy from France in Germany who was talking about legal. He's like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, you're pro league, and then he said it, and I was like, yeah, that thing. And I was just like, I'm sorry.
Oh, we probably butcher at least half of the club names that we say on here, so you're not alone.
Trying to pronounce that Israeli team in the Champions League has been a rough sledding.
Maccabi Haifa.
Haifa. Okay, it is Haifa then. Yeah.
I had Maccabi. I knew Maccabi, and I was like, I'm not sure if it's Haifa or not. So I was just rocking on Maccabi the last
I was at a conference with a Maccabi Haifa fan. He literally took over a giant television at the conference hotel just to watch the qualifiers. So trust me, I heard him screaming about it for 3 days. Number 4, the Uruguay away disaster kit.
So bad.
Terrible. I don't know. I think we've already said.
So bad.
I think number 3 is going to be a little controversial from me, the Portugal, and I sort of said both. I looked at it a little more. I think that white one's not terrible. It's It's not great. But that red and green one that people are saying sort of looks like Monaco, no. Monaco's Kappa kit is amazing with that slash across. This is just a Nike training top that they added color on to try to hide the Nike training top patterns. And
it looks like one of the generic like FIFA jersey designs, just straight line, diagonal, just I don't know. Yeah, I agree. It's really bad.
Yeah,
it was probably number 6 for me on my bottom 6.
I don't hate the white one a ton. Like, the white one's decent for me. I don't like it. It's not even close to my top 5, but like I could see something happening there. It looks similar to some stuff they've worn before. But man, that red and green one, I agree. That's rough.
That's why I said sort of combined, but I think really the red and green one needs to be called out. I looked at some more photos, Bruno in the white kit, which granted he isn't like looking straight on. He's like bent over, like sideways, so you can't really see the full kit. It looks okay, and I wonder if that was a matter of the photo was just taken well, or just I don't know if the kit's well.
Right.
Number 2, USA home. So, people are looking at the Portugal kit, this USA kit, and, they're saying, oh, they're terrible. And they're really terrible because they are the training or the warm-up tops for club teams. You look at the cutting pattern, it is the PSG cut, it is the Barcelona. You just go look at how they're cut. It is exactly what they're using. We're getting training tops as World Cup jerseys. So this is why Nike is essentially sort of, in my rankings, tied for last place. The USA home is just a disaster. So I got a couple more points on why it's a disaster. Have you seen it with the numbers?
It's awful. It looks worse. I didn't think it could look worse, but it looks worse.
So with that crest in the middle, and they put the numbers really small right below it. And so it looks even worse. And then look at it with the women's badge.
Yeah, I saw that. That's bad.
It's basically like we didn't even realize we'd have a World Cup badge we needed to put on the shirt, and so we're going to stick it here. It's like when Real Madrid won Champions League in, 2014, and they had to stick it like literally on almost their shoulder.
Oh, like up here? Yeah.
Yeah, and it looks so terrible. It's on the same level as that. Now, 2 great things to note about this. One is that they clearly just, if you want to talk about U.S. and Nike, just seem to entirely forgot the good team, the women's team existed. You could say there's probably maybe a little bit of even sexism there. But when you put that badge, the World Cup badge, plus the U.S. badge, plus the numbers on, it looks just absolutely awful. It's like this weird mess of things. Even better, they clearly are photoshopping these badges on, because in some of the promo photos they're on the right side, and on some of the promo photos they're on the left side. They don't even know where the.
I didn't even pick up on that. So they truly didn't think about it until they got to the, oh shoot, we got to put this out on social media. Let's Photoshop it on.
Yes, and the jokes are great. Yeah, I retweeted one of the ones where it looks like an Oreo packet, right? That needs to be open. It's so perfect. It does look like an Oreo packet. That looks to be. I told that to someone else at work, and they have the same comment, like, oh, geez, I can never think about it any other way.
Right.
Last one is going to go to Senegal, Ghana. This is a Puma disaster now. In fact, if you look across all the Puma ones, I think Switzerland also has a pretty ugly, terrible kit. They have those weird boxes in the middle of the kit.
So bad.
And then they just add a little bit of accent and flair in that country's color or symbol.
Uruguay is also the same way. I think that's what makes the Uruguay away so bad also.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to do that box.
They're so terrible. I was just like, why does... But the home kits are so much better for Puma. At least I think so. I think they're a lot better, but these away kits with these boxes just makes no sense. I was like, I get sort of like, okay, they want to do something bold, but this is just... Puma's always had really great kits, and they really fell flat. So for me, I was like, Nike, I understand. They're just always somewhat generic, like with their big kits. Like, I looked at my closet this afternoon, I have a Holland 98 kit. I have a Italy either 98 or 02 kit. And they're all very just plain, right? Solid color, swoosh. They do have the collars, though. I love the old days of the collars. But, it's pretty straightforward. But Puma has done some very daring things, and I feel like they fell flat this time. And I look at what, Kappa is doing with club kits, and I was like, why can't you be a little more like that? So that's my bottom 5.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty much lockstep with you guys on parts of my bottom 5. I actually have, and I didn't expect to do this until I started filling out my list. I have some Adidas ones at the bottom. They're on the bottom of my bottom, not the top of my bottom. So I didn't like them, but they're not the worst. But Spain's away. The color is great. That baby blue on Spain, I think looks fantastic.
Yeah.
But whatever the heck those wave things they got going, I'm adamantly just not a fan of those, and it's a shame because I think that kit had a ton of potential. And I think that's part of the reason I put it on my bottom 5, because it's man, you guys were so close to making something just super clean and super nice, and we had to add this wave design, and it firmly lost me there.
Have you seen their pre-match kit?
No, Spain?
Yeah. So if you Google their Spain
for the World Cup?
Yes.
I haven't seen any of these, I don't think. It's probably going to be really sweet, and it should be their actual, I'm guessing. Okay, that's a lot. I don't know how I feel about that.
It looks like a Barcelona shirt that went crazy.
It's like a Barcelona shirt on acid.
Yes. I think it's terrible.
Yeah, I don't know. Portugal's got a funky one. Oh, yeah, man, that's a whole other thing. Maybe that's what I'll get. Maybe I'll find some good pre-match shirts to get, because man, overall I just wasn't a huge fan of a lot of these. But another one I really didn't like from Adidas was Belgium's. I think it's their home, the one with the Guy Fieri sleeves. They got the Guy Fieri flames.
Yep.
And it's what does that have to do with I get when we you said, Reed, we wanted to talk about how it incorporates the culture. I don't know Belgian culture super well, but I don't know where Guy Fieri and Belgian culture intertwine. It looks like it's going to be a kit that a bunch of college frat guys buy on clearance to wear to darties because they think it looks like Guy Fieri. And
but
that's
from
all
the
I
90s.
have.
Yeah.
It's just. I mean, there are some retro-ish kits on here that I actually really did like, but that was a huge swing and a miss for me. It's we tried to look retro, we tried to look cool. Don't know what it has to do with Belgium. It just.
I think Adidas did flames.
It is a shame because I think
on,
Adidas did really well.
Yeah, they did flames
they did
on
it in
two of their
Argentina,
kits,
right?
I think. Yeah.
Argentina's look better though, and I don't know. I didn't like Argentina's, but I didn't hate it. This Belgium one is rough for me.
So these are not the first flame kits. If you look at Japan '98, they had the full flame borders on their sleeves.
Looking it up right now.
I feel like with the colors.
Oh wow, this is
I
something. Yeah.
I have one of those shirts in my closet.
I don't know, but
This
that
is
fits.
something.
That fits. That I kind of like it though.
That was their.
It's that's
too.
that's a 1998 World Cup kit. And it's got the subtle flames in the middle, throughout the whole shirt. I actually don't hate that.
I love that.
This
shirt.
one, I think it's the colors. It's the black, the yellow, the orange. It truly looks like a Guy Fieri shirt, and
It does.
I can't get past that, and I couldn't stand it. Another semi we swung and missed on the retro for me. South Korea's home with the collar. I like collared kits. I think South Korea's badge is probably the coolest, maybe the second coolest badge in this whole World Cup. But the shirt as a whole is so bland. They went all out, it looked like, on the away shirt, and this home one just is bland. It's just red with a cool crest and a collar, and it just felt lazy. You may have noticed we were all ragging on Puma. I have not had a Puma one selected yet. However, that's because I literally just lumped all of the Pumas in at the number 2 worst because they're all terrible. All of their aways, all of the ones with that stupid box, and they tried to like make them look a little bit kind of sort of like to fit with the culture and stylized, and it was awful. The only one that like was even, man, who was it? There was one that I didn't completely hate. I want to say it was Morocco's that I didn't completely hate because the box was so much more subtle than everybody else's. Like everybody else's is very clearly defined box, but Morocco's I think was like a very light gray on a white kit. So like I didn't despise that one, but overall Puma just with an absolute massive swing and miss on all of those away box number shirts. And I know that was a thing for Nike, and like I want to say it was like the late 90s. They had that, like, but it was very small and very just centered just around the number, and it actually looked kind of good. And this was like Puma wanting to replicate that, but not wanting to completely steal it, and it just felt lazy and poorly executed. So for me, those Puma, all of those boxy Puma ones were terrible. So I was kind of lame and clumped like 6 different kits together for my number 2. I probably could have spent my whole top 5 on Puma alone, though.
Yeah, Morocco has that. It's not actually even a box. It's like a circle of this sort of interwoven design that looks good.
Yeah, that looked a lot better in my opinion. And then obviously I haven't said it yet, so I got to say it now. The U.S. home. I think we've kind of talked about it ad nauseum at this point. It's bad. It looks like a ode to football, like American football. But at the same time, like I don't necessarily buy that because Netherlands has the same design. Australia has the same design. Like almost all of the Nike kits have that same design on one of their 2. So like I almost don't even believe that is the reason. I think it's people like grasping at straws. It was just lazy. We took a training kit from 2004 and didn't change a damn thing. And that is what we're sending our clubs or our nations to the World Cup in. And it was just, it comes across as lazy, and that's all I really have on it. It was lazy and poorly executed.
And I think the South Korea kit shows us that there was the ability to put extra stuff on it. Like they put a collar on it. They put more design on it. And then for the U.S., they're just like, nah.
Everybody gets the same thing. Actually, I think it was Australia's. I didn't actually hate their yellow one. I'm not sure if that's going to be their home or away, but like I didn't hate that one. I thought that one was okay. There are some Nike ones that are like not that bad. I think I actually have one of the Nike ones in my top 5 even, which surprised even myself. So like yeah, it shows that there was potential, and there are people at Nike who can make a halfway decent kit, but it was like, for whatever reason, it's not on the U.S. ones at all. And it's just frustrating because, while we're not Canada and it's not been 30 years since we've been, like, we missed the last one. Like, this is a pretty big deal. We're pretty excited. This is probably, if not certainly, the best team we've ever had. And, well, since the 30s or whatever, and we trot them out in this hot, steamy pile of garbage. It's frustrating. I shouldn't be this frustrated about a shirt. Like, it doesn't matter. It's not going to affect how we play, but like it pisses me off.
If I can add one note, I remember there was a Twitter thread from it was a couple of weeks or a month or 2 ago that somebody said, "Oh, someone just DM'd me a picture of the U.S. national team O2 kits, and they look like terrible." And Wes McKinney literally jumped into the replies and like, "Bro, we like told them so," laughing. And so there was already this sort of air that the kits would be terrible, and then they came out, and it was sort of like, "Oh, we really do see what you were talking about." It was just a disaster class.
That's the thing, like they leaked like months ago, and like they were on Twitter like, this is probably what it's going to be like, and all of the backlash. It's like, you guys, like there are people who their full-time job is to design things at Nike. So you had at least 2.5, 3 months where you could have tried to redesign this because you know everybody hated it, and you just pretty much shot the middle finger up and said, "Nah, enjoy these. They were cheap and easy to make. Have fun." It's like, man, what are we doing? It's so annoying.
It basically reminds me of like when I gave a homework assignment that's due on a Monday morning, and Mizzou football did a little too well over the weekend, and Dylan basically had to try to make something up at Sunday at 10:55 p.m. That's basically, I think, what we saw in these designs.
Yeah, it was you took a template on Canva and just went, yep, I'm gonna just change the font and the words and we're done. And like you put no creativity into it. Yeah, it's pretty lazy. But I think I don't have anything else to say on the negatives, so I think it is a good time to kind of get into the positives, because I do think there are some positives. Overall, I'd probably give the kits as a whole like a C plus. But that means there are some really good ones out there. So I'll let you kind of take this away, reading, and kind of share your thoughts on your top 5 and what you really enjoyed seeing.
I'm going to get my top 5 out before my internet completely goes out. At number 5 is Korea's Away. Like I said, I like the flair. I like the the weirdness of some kits, and this one's got some flair. I'll put up like pictures of all of these in the videos we're talking through them, but how do you even describe that one? I don't really know. It looks like a paint on a blank canvas, a black background with some blue, red, and yellow paint. It's abstract art, essentially. It's beautiful to me.
It's a Jackson Pollock, yeah.
Yes, it's a Jackson Pollock. There you go. Perfect.
It's like cool. Like they tried to go the retro route and succeeded. Like it looks very 90s, but in like a good, well executed way. I'm a huge fan of that one as well.
Yeah, and then number 4 is Germany's Away, and I think if you're talking about potential to become iconic, if Germany wins a World Cup in this kit, or if they beat Brazil, and I don't even know who they would match up with in the semifinals, but this would be like an iconic kit to me. I think it's a really well designed. It's got the kind of the pattern of the red and black in the background, but it's not too loud. And then the accent of that gold is just beautiful in the badge, and then the Adidas logo, and then the 3 stripes going down the sleeves. Number 3 is the Brazil home. Like I said, it's always going to be in the top 5 for me. It's just, you think 02, you think 98. I mean, it's always going to be iconic. This one, I have seen a little bit of pushback on it. I think they did things a little bit differently on it, but I'll always love it. Number 2 is a Croatia home. Kind of a similar reason for Brazil, and I know it's a very divisive kit, and it always is. It's the checkered pattern that's kind of synonymous with Croatia. I now have a much more of a sweet spot for Croatia after 2018 and signing one of their superstars. But I just always have loved watching them play in this kit. And then number 1 is the Mexico Away, and when I saw it, I was just very depressed because I knew the U.S. wasn't going to get anything nearly as good as that. So if you're talking about potential to become iconic, if Mexico makes they're not going to, but like a quarterfinal run, this thing is going to be legendary.
Funny.
But yeah, that's where
if
I'm
they make a quarterfinal run, it would be pretty historic. That's saying something for Mexico.
Yeah.
It is a nice kit. It's fine.
And
it's
culture,
cool.
too. I mean, it's the culture kit of the World Cup.
It's cool, I guess. I don't know. It's Mexico, though.
Yeah. Well,
I just can't.
I've learned to praise my rivals a lot on this podcast so far, so might as well just keep going.
I mean, I'll let Nick kind of go next, but I will say Mexico was only on as an honorable mention for me because I absolutely refuse to put them on my top 5 of anything, because at the end of the day, it's Mexico. And if there's one thing I've come to just absolutely embrace and love about soccer, it is just the unfiltered hatred towards your rivals. And I'm not going to let that stop just because Mexico has a cool kit. Like, it's still Mexico. I can't put them in my top 5. I'm pretty sure it's probably like 1 or 2 on Nick's too. So I just had to jump in and I'll sneak peek. It is not in my top 5. It only made it as an honorable mention because it is Mexico. But Nick, take it away with your top 5 and your your thoughts on the good side of the kits this year.
So actually, I'll start that honorable mentions for me were like Saudi away and South Korea away, which are basically the two teams that always stand in the way of Japan in World Cup qualifying. So I think part of the reason they need to be in the top 5 is exactly what you said. It's like, yeah, those are pretty sweet kits, but I get pissed off watching you play against us in them. So, no, I mean, it makes sense to me. But, I mean, I've had, Korea have the O2 kit. The red one was a great kit. I was actually great kit in design, actually terrible kit in terms of the material. It's almost like a rain jacket, stiff poncho kind of feel. It just doesn't feel good when you wear it, unfortunately. Number 5, I went with Uruguay's home kit. If you haven't looked at it, I think this has the potential to be an all-time classic just because it's so clean. Mm-hmm. It is just that light blue with white collar, a white little accent on the sleeve, and then gold Puma marks, and then the gold stars over the white badge. It looks very clean. It actually reminds me of the kit Japan put out last year or 2 years ago, their 100th anniversary kit. Also a light blue just like this. I really like that combination. I don't think Uruguay's going to do anything significant, though. So in terms of it being iconic outside of the look, that's up for grabs. Number 4 for me was Argentina away. I know that some people didn't feel as well, especially with a little bit of that Guy Fieri flame in there. I think this one actually works. The Argentina
it's closer to working for me for sure. Yeah,
the Argentina home is just sort of always the same. I mean, this year's looks amazing. I didn't want to put that one because I want to look at something different. And I was like, Argentina's done something very different in this one. And I think when we see them playing in these, and if they're playing well, we're going to be like, those, I got to have a messy kit with that. It's potentially his last kit he'll ever wear, right? And I thought there is an iconic potential in that part, so definitely there. Number 3, the Germany away, just amazing, great kit. I'm already putting that on the planning to purchase list. Classic football shirts. If you get these stock soon, I'm coming. So get that shirt and a couple others ready. Funny enough, they usually always have Uruguay shirts because not too many people buy them. So I'm actually hoping they'll have that Uruguay home shirt when I'm looking at them. Hope to buy one of those. Number 2, both sentimental favorite for me, the Japan home kit. I hated these Japan camouflage kits from their last cycle. I don't know if you saw them. I think they look absolutely terrible. And so
Agreed.
For them to go to something that was still fun design-wise, but I think looks good, is nice. I'm actually swinging slowly towards dumping the Japan home kit for the Japan away kit.
That away has grown on me the more we've been on here, and I'm like scrolling through looking at them. I agree. That away is, I mean, the home's going to get the bulk of the love, and I think for good reason. But man, I totally agree. That away kit is clean. It's just such a clean white, and then you have that cool, fun sleeve logos like that are subtle enough that it's really well done with the black trim. That's a pretty kit. I think if I were to buy one of the two, that would be the one I would purchase because that's just so clean.
Yeah, and of course now I just clicked Adidas US and it's just offered me to buy both of them.
And by the end of the episode, Nick will have purchased both Japan kits for the World Cup. You're welcome, Nick.
Yeah, I guess it's like origami inspired, whatever. That doesn't really.
Right. It's just cool looking for me. I mean.
And of course, at the number 1 spot, and Eddie, if you're listening, this one's for you, is the Mexico away kit. It's just it is one of those kits that's not going to be forgotten. Like 20 years from now, we'll be saying, yeah, they didn't play well, but do you remember those Mexico kits? And I hate to say this.
It's gonna be one of those on classic football shirts that is gonna be a very rare drop and go for a whole lot of money because it is so unique and so exciting and out there again. I refuse to enjoy it purely because of the country.
The thing that I think U.S. fans need to tremble a little bit about is Mexico's group's not the greatest. I mean, Argentina, okay. But after that, we're talking Saudi Arabia and Poland.
Right, I agree.
Poland really hits or misses in the World Cup. Saudi Arabia is not a pushover, but I think Mexico can grab that number 2 spot, which then means in the next round they face the first from Group D, which everybody will assume will be France. But as we say, one slip up, one weird thing, and all of a sudden, Mexico's in the quarterfinals, and they're facing, that could be the U.S. Oh, that would be something amazing.
I would feel so comfortable. I mean, if I got to handpick a team we'd face in the quarterfinals, sure, bring it on. I know that's kind of cocky American because we've had a couple of good years of success, but at this point, this is the least scared I've ever been of Mexico, and rightfully so. I mean, the way we've performed against them in the last 2 to 3 years has been unlike we've seen over 2 or 3 year span. But yeah, it's one of those that's they could make up for 2 or 3 years of being, use a Michigan State term, little brother to the U.S. and just absolutely turn it on its head and relatively upset us, and it would be, it'd be a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how the U.S. even does within their own group, because it's interesting to me. The potential of Wales, I think, is even Iran can be a dangerous one depending on the day. And I mean, you catch Taremi on a bad day and he's on fire. I mean, people who play against Porto can tell you what can happen, right?
Right.
Not to say that FIFA cards are a definition of how people play and how good they are, but I mean, he did make a team of the season card, right? Because
right for a good reason.
He's been on fire. So I mean, if he extends that form into this season in the World Cup, this group may be a lot tougher than people.
Dicier than people think.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, Reed and I, when we did our group previews way back when we were starting this, I don't even think they've honestly been released yet. We were just kind of trying to get our feet wet. We both had similar sentiments. I feel comfortable with the U.S. getting through, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if somehow we kind of slipped up and didn't. But moving on to my top 5 kits. As a Newcastle fan, if the Newcastle owners are listening, I will take free tickets for putting this kit in my top 5. But it's going to be the Saudi Arabia home. I think it's just very, very clean. I like the minor details. I think, very hot take, I really like Newcastle's third shirt this year, the very clearly Saudi-inspired shirt. And I think that could be why I like this, because it looks almost identical to our third shirt without the giant noon patch on the sleeve. But I think it looks really good. And then you add the subtle details of the palm leaves into the kit. I think it was a really well done shirt. And another example of Nike clearly has it in them to make a simple yet quality shirt, and we just didn't see that in the U.S. So kudos to Nike, kudos to Saudi Arabia. I do truly enjoy that one. Number 4, we already talked about this one a little, but it's South Korea's away. This is, again, just retro done right. It looks very 90s, but in a cool way, not a forced way, not a, how you doing, kids? I'm hip and I'm cool. It was actually really well done and thought out and well executed. And as I said, I think they may have the best badge in the World Cup. If not them, it's my number 3 shirt, and that's going to be the Wales home. mostly because of that badge. I mean, you put a dragon on a red shirt, like it looks very clean. I like the subtle details on it. I have gone back and forth on their away. I think I really like the details on the collar that they have, but I just, maybe this is a lack of Welsh cultural knowledge. I just don't understand like what makes that Welsh. Like it looks really good, but I just don't understand it really. But the subtle detail on that home one with a stinking dragon on the socks and on the shirt and on the shorts was too good for me to not include in my top 5. And then two to wrap it up for me that have been in everybody's, I believe, top 5. Germany away. I mean, Germany and gold are just synonymous. I think it looks phenomenal together, especially on their darker kit. I don't really love their home. I think it's kind of the stripe down the middle, and it's just not for me. But that away one is absolutely incredible. And number 1 is Japan. Their home specifically, but as you said, and I kind of already touched on, I could just lump them together because the more I look at that away one with the detail on the sleeve is phenomenal. For me, though, the kind of overarching theme on all the kits is my absolute favorite thing about all of the kits is the Adidas logo on the Adidas kits. Just the 3 stripes,
yes.
No Adidas under it, a little bit chunkier. Now I'm getting into like jersey nerddom right now, but whatever they like, that new logo that they're utilizing is so simple and so crisp, and I think it just helps tie those shirts together without being like, hey, we're Adidas, and it's like less in your face. It's more like the Nike swoosh. The Nike swoosh is so popular because it is simple, and I think that Adidas logo, Adidas is more synonymous with soccer for me, and taking out the Adidas wording and just doing the 3 stripes I think looks absolutely incredible. So whoever at Adidas made that call, like, bravo, kudos to you. You deserve a raise. Have your boss listen to our podcast with 30 viewers a week and get yourself a raise. But it was really well done.
And give us 5 stars on iTunes.
Yeah, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, follow, like, subscribe, all that stuff, and then show your boss.
Yeah, that Adidas logo this year is the real winner. I would agree with that. It just, like, when I saw that in the Japan kit, I was like, oh, wow. Especially with the black one on the away kit, I just was looking at that. Like, it's sort of that perfect thing. And here's, I think, where World Cup kits really are the winners, and why, again, I think Puma is the real loser in this, is there's no damn sponsors on it. So I think, like you said, with that Newcastle Saudi themed 3rd shirt, the problem with that one is the sponsor, right? And then you look at the Saudi kit, and it's like, oh, that's what it could look like. Like, this could look really good. And in fact, I will make this admission. I went to West Ham the other day, and I bought a kit. And you know who I was thinking about buying.
Did you do it?
Well, I was like, any other time I would have just bought a Lucas Paqueta shirt because I love him so much, right? But fortunately, Visa Shimizu just joined their women's team. So I was like, I'm going to buy her shirt. We're going to support women's football.
Okay.
I'm going to get the West Ham kit because their black kit is amazing.
Oh, is it the one they wore today in Europa?
I did
that
not
black
see,
kit?
Yeah, the black kit.
Yeah.
Now,
oh, man.
Here's the real kicker. West Ham sells shirts without sponsors.
Do they? Because it's because it's a gambling site?
I believe so. So I have a clean black with the name. It is an amazing kit because there's no sponsor on it. And I wish every club, every team would consider selling a kit, like an Arsenal kit without Fly Emirates.
Even if you had to pay a premium so they could then pay the sponsor somehow, like, people would do it.
I would
People
do
would
it.
pay $15 extra to get it sponsorless.
I'd probably pay
Like Newcastle,
$30.
Newcastle does sell sponsorless ones, but it's only for juniors because it's a gambling site. So I think like legally they can't sell a junior kit with a gambling site on it. Possibly that's like the only rationale I came behind it, because like you can't get an adult one without the betting sponsor on it. So that's at least my guess on the rationale. But yeah, some of those Newcastle, I don't like oddly enough, the home one looks like empty. Like the black and white stripes like needs a logo or needs a sponsor on it, and I don't hate how our sponsor looks, but the Saudi one, we'll call it what it is. It's the Saudi kit. The Saudi kit looks so good without a sponsor.
I'll tweet you some photos of the West Ham kit. It is when I bought it, I was just like, oh, this looks so good. I'm so jealous. I wish we had one like this without a sponsor on it.
Right.
And I think that's the beauty of World Cup shirts, which is also why Puma sucks again, because they have this block that almost looks like where the sponsors would be, and you're just sort of like, it's messy, it's filling space, it's not really as you know. I've been making the joke, right? Graphic design is my passion.
Right.
It literally looks like that.
And to me, it truly looks like they tried to steal that 2002 Nike simple surrounding the number thing, and that looked good. That was part of Nike's whole campaign. It was on their boots. It was on the total. Like, that was just part of what Nike was at that time, and they did it right. And it seemed like Puma's desperate attempt, like, oh, we gotta find an identity with these. Let's make this our identity because it worked 20 years ago. Nobody will remember. It's like, no, we remember, and you did a terrible job executing a stolen idea.
Yep.
Well, very good. I think you and I could both go on for another hour. I mean, we're already pushing an hour. We probably could go on another hour about sponsorships and kits, but we'll try and wrap this up. It was an absolute pleasure having you on. We hope to certainly have you on again in the future, talking about business of European soccer in general, influence in the U.S. and all those sorts of things. But it's been a pleasure to have you on, and we appreciate. I certainly appreciate for sure having somebody else to nerd out on jerseys, because my two favorite things in sports, in soccer specifically, are jerseys and the transfer window. Like, I absolutely eat that stuff up. I eat up that nerdy side of it. So it's been an honor and a pleasure having you on.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. And actually, another one of my upcoming essays is actually going to be about shirts, because I couldn't not write one about shirts, just how much I love them. So always happy to talk. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, again, it was a great episode. So everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for sticking with us for an hour talking about clothing and soccer. So don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and all that good stuff. But everybody have a great night, and thanks for listening. All right.